So if you just got Clip Studio Paint and opened it up for the first time, you're probably staring at a really strange interface, at least to you. You might not see any of the panels you see here. This might be minimized, these might be minimized, the icons might be different, or there just might be a wall of stuff happening and you don't know what any of this does. And I get it, I've been in these shoes before. So I'm just gonna walk through some of the basic stuff that I would actually do if I was starting from a brand new software. This isn't a really advanced buy my course type thing. This is literally just, if I was a beginner and I opened up Clip Studio Paint and I felt overwhelmed, this is probably what I would do. First thing, do not try to learn every single tool at once. You will burn yourself out in the first 5 minutes. Clip Studio has literally hundreds of features and tools and things that you're probably never going to use. So pick just one of them and start from there. So in this case, I'm hunting around until I find the, let's just say the G pen. I don't know, that looks pretty standard to me. And then just decide on a small goal that you want to achieve, whether it's a simple doodle of your character, a simple background, whatever. Just find something tiny that you can probably figure out how to do instead of trying to make this like grand masterpiece off the top of your head. So open up a new canvas. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but it's usually just a picture of a paper with a plus sign on it, or you can go into File, click on New. You'll see a bunch of things here. You're probably not going to need most of it. Just go to the first option, Illustration, pick whatever default settings shows up and hit OK. The canvas size probably doesn't matter and the DPI probably doesn't matter. Just don't overthink it. You can always change it later on. And then all you gotta do is take the brush that you picked earlier and just play around with it. So we can see here, the settings look weird. So I'm just gonna poke around here and see if I can get rid of this. Let's see, let's make this bigger. So we've got lines. I can zoom in and out. I can rotate the canvas. I've got stabilization. Let's play around with that and see what that does. Stabilization at 100% looks like a lot of lag. It's not actually lagging, it's just making it smooth, but that's cool. Let's see what happens when I do this. I'm just gonna make a circle. And I know that Clip Studio advertised this smart shape feature, so we know that that works, and that's pretty cool. Let's try a different one. Let's use this textured pen, see what this looks like. So you can see that there is a more of a textured feel to this pen. So you can do that, etc. And literally just play around with whatever's in here. So for instance, I'm gonna go into, what does this look like? Liquify. Let's make a shape here. Let's take a look at what Liquify does. Looks like Liquify can move stuff around like this and squish things. Pretty neat. And literally that's just all you have to do. Grab the pencil tool, draw a line, try the eraser, try the bucket tool, click on stuff and see what happens. You're not going to break things, and obviously the undo button is Control-Z or Command-Z, and you can just use that whenever you want. Now, this is probably the most important step, and this is something that is common sense to me, but whenever I say this to people on Instagram or TikTok, they are always like incredibly shocked that I tell them this. When you don't know how to do something, just look it up. That's it. That's the whole secret. Literally, whenever somebody says, how did you learn how to do that? How did you learn how to animate? How did you learn how to draw? The answer is literally that I just looked it up on Google and YouTube. Let's just pick something that we want to do. Let's say that we want to learn how to install brushes in Clip Studio Paint. So I'm just on the YouTube homepage. I click on the search bar and I just type in how to install brushes in can't spell today, Clip Studio Paint. And immediately you can see multiple people have made videos on this. There's a bunch of shorts if you don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of people who made 5-minute videos, a 2-minute video. There's people talking about brushes for like blending, people using custom brushes, people answering what type of brush they use here, assets and things like that. So you've got an entire internet to search from. And obviously Google works too. So I'm going to type in how to use the lasso tool in Clip Studio Paint. And obviously you've got the AI overview. We're going to ignore that. But you can see that Clip Studio Paint literally has an official forum and help page where you can go into it and it'll give you the actual thing that you need. You would be surprised how many times I tell people that a lot of your questions can be answered by looking up the user guide of the software that you're using. Pretty much every drawing software on the planet has it. From Toon Boom to Clip Studio Paint to Ibis Paint to Krita, all of it's online. All of it is really easy to search up and find. It's not rocket science, guys. Okay, one thing that I will tell you to learn early, because it'll save you a ton of pain later on, is to learn about layers. Learn how layers work. So this is the layers panel. This is probably your most important panel in Clip Studio Paint. Everything from adding new layers, adding vector layers, adding a folder, learning about the clipping and a bunch of other stuff, blending modes. Pretty much everything that you could learn lives in the layers panel. So my advice to you is to just learn how layers work. You could search it up on Google, you can search it up on YouTube, make a new layer for your sketch. You can change the opacity. So for instance, I have a sketch layer here, then I add a vector layer on top of that, and then I can go over it and trace over it like that. Make a separate layer for your line art, for your shading, your highlights, your flat colors, things like that. If you mess up on a separate layer, just delete that layer and try again, or search up something like Clip Studio Paint layers tutorial on YouTube. Literally just watch a 10-minute video and you're basically set for the rest of your life. Now, I know one of the biggest features of Clip Studio Paint is the vast library of assets that they have, and it can be very, very tempting. Clip Studio Assets has quite literally hundreds of thousands of free brushes that you want to grab, textures, 3D models, poses, stuff for drawing and painting, stuff for animation, stuff for comics. And it's basically a rite of passage for a lot of new animators and artists to open up Clip Studio Assets and just download a bunch of stuff. My advice to you is don't do that yet. Honestly, I would say just use the default brushes. The G Pen, the Real Pencil, Mapping Pen. These are stuff that comes basic with Clip Studio Paint. Or the soft airbrush, the hard and soft erasers. They are genuinely good. I use the G Pen in my actual animation work. You'll see a time lapse on screen of me actually using the G Pen and the vector eraser for a lot of my anime production work. They are genuinely good. And honestly, if you were to look at some professional animators and artists, a lot of the times they're using the default brushes. You hear about the default round brush, the default line brush, and things like that. They are genuinely good. And obviously, if you download 50 brushes on day one, you'll probably spend a lot more time switching brushes and getting overwhelmed with the extreme amount of choice than actually drawing. And then obviously, once you actually know what you're missing from the defaults, then go download something specific. So for instance, I could go into Clip Studio and think oh, I don't have a good brush for things like leaves or bushes. Well, here is a free brush for foliage and greens and stuff like that, and this is free, so I can just hit download and do that. But that's just something that I need after the fact, rather than trying to buy a bunch of stuff that I probably will never use. Your first drawings in a new program are going to feel weird. The brush might feel off, or the colors look wrong, or you just don't know if things look right, and that's normal. That's just how it is to learn a new software. It took me months to feel comfortable using Clip Studio Paint, and honestly, I'm glad that I stuck with it, because it means that I was able to continually use it to the point where now I am using Clip Studio for professional artwork and animation. And that's it. Just open the program, draw something small, Google what you don't know, and Don't try to learn everything at once. But I know some of you are a bit more advanced with Clip Studio and want to learn more than just the basics, so I recommend checking out this video on screen where I talk about some of the customizations I made to my Clip Studio Paint workspace. Thanks for visiting the Mind Palace, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.